Now, having found John's talk about, I don't think we've gone so much into Thank You for Being Late, the book, which we will do at some point, because it's quite a complicated book. We're only taking one aspect of it that makes sense to us immediately. There's a lot more to it we can come back to. But what I'm also interested in is whether some of these things are now practical. What the conversation with JD, who's the producer for the Wild Show, which will be tomorrow about this time, between 10 and 12, he can imagine sort of automated backup systems, and things need to be updated. So conversations with John, for example, we've got a version of our take on Thank You for Being Late, but if we put news sources in, let me start again. I found this thing called Notebook from Google, which is an AI system. It's really designed for study. You upload various sources, textbooks or lectures or podcasts or whatever, and then it will do you an output, a summary of it, which could be an essay, it could be another. I think it won't do videos. It will do podcasts, and that's the bit that's interesting. So what I've done, I've got various bits and pieces from various sources just uploaded in there, and then it comes up with something. I'm working on one about being late, so we'll come to that later when I've got it to work. But it just encouraged me to have a look at more of what is possible, and I've now got some thumbnail sketches about Bluey and the BBC and social media in general, because if you didn't hear the We Don't Know show a couple of weeks back, I think, I'll say this again. The Guardian report on Bluey was very positive. I thought it was very striking, quite interesting, that they didn't go into the dangers of social media for the Bluey audience, or the younger end of the Bluey audience, let's say, because they're quite sure it's a way of reaching a young adult or an adult audience as well. But usually, or quite often, then, let's say, the Guardian will say what a good thing people are living without their phones, or schools are quite right to arrest people, and I'm sorry, I just find it quite hard to cope with just the whole stream of stories that are not seeing the potential of social media or ed tech, whatever. I'm mixing these things up ridiculously. There's plenty of time to come back to this. I think I'm going to go on a holiday, try and become less grumpy, and start again in the autumn. I think that's the thing to do about all this, and try and have a conversation also with Russell Prue and around Bet. I'm not sure if Bet Radio as such will come back, or what's going to happen between now and January, but there will be some sort of conversation about, well, for example, is YouTube something that people in schools might know about? And if they do, should they be told anything as guidance, positive or negative, about any aspect of it? Maybe Russell Prue could ask that question on some form of radio or podcast or YouTube clip or whatever whatever format he might be working with and whatever guests he's got at the time. Something like that might be discussed. Anyway, what I'm getting round to, after that, I started talking about this, and also YouTube pops up options to me. The AI has gone beyond generating new text, which I can get it to do, or rewrites. The LinkedIn is a very good rewrite option. What I start off with is not nearly as impactful as what they suggest, but also that it's prepared to act as an agent, and it's prepared to act as a tutor. So it's making suggestions and comes up with checklists and all sorts of things. And I started asking it that this is to say, YouTube started asking about Bluey, social media, and the way social media is reported in print publications, for example, The Guardian, Observer, and it's very reluctant to get into that. It won't get into the dangers of social media or what the BBC is trying to do about that, but it will get into positive stories. So I'll come back to this later on. I've got my list of things to work on that YouTube is coming up with, and then I'm probably getting the answers to the questions from somewhere else. So it's getting quite various. That's why I'm hesitating a bit, because I'm trying to remember what is true of which one that's on offer. But essentially, I have got thumbnails. So YouTube now definitely will offer you. Well, I'm assuming that this is true for everyone. I think they'd sort of tailor it depending on what you upload. And I am uploading quite a lot of shorts, because they've stopped making my. Well, this is the way I look at it. The longer form videos are not getting many views because I don't think they're available. YouTube seems to think people have to watch short things, so they make those known. But they also suggest to me I should replace the thumbnail, which is just arbitrarily suggested from the video, with something much more select and tailored. And I haven't been doing that, but in the case of Bluey as social media, and whether the BBC could present the smartphone as a positive sort of thing somehow, occasionally, they've come up with thumbnails. So I've got the thumbnails, and I've asked Grok to answer the question what Ofcom can do to help BBC get listed on YouTube. I think Ofcom are concerned about all forms of public service broadcasting. None of them are getting the prominence on YouTube or social media that they should be getting. That's one of the things Ofcom I think are concerned about. I'm going to start tweeting in a moment and find the proper links to some of this. But anyway, what I'm getting to is that I've got an answer from Grok to these questions, and by going to Chrome from another edtech company, a voice is there. So I'm going to play this. It's only 7.5 minutes. You may get fed up with the voice, but this may be the future of radio. That you're going to get a robot will decide the presenter's been stuttering and hesitating and possibly not turned up. There's too much silence in the studio. We must take over with something else. So the question of what is going to happen with Ofcom, the BBC and social media, this is a start on this question.